Imagine a time of bronze swords, mighty heroes and capricious gods. Imagine a conflict that shook the very foundations of the world. This is the world of Homer's, a poem that has echoed through centuries, captivating readers with its timeless themes of love, war, rage and fate. The isn't just a story, it's a cornerstone of Western literature. It dives deep into the human condition. It explores the destructive nature of anger and the enduring power of love and friendship. Even thousands of years after its creation, it continues to resonate. Its characters and themes still feel relevant and powerful. It isn't a story of good versus evil. It's a story of flawed humans, driven by passions and caught in the machinations of fate and the whims of the gods. This complexity makes it a captivating and enduring masterpiece. It is a story that once heard stays with you, prompting reflection on the human condition and our place in the grand tapestry of existence. At the heart of the lies, the Trojan War. This conflict erupts from an act of love and betrayal. Paris, a prince of Troy, is promised the most beautiful woman in the world. Helen, wife of Menelaus, king of Sparta. Paris, Aphrodite's influence, steals Helen away to Troy. This act ignites the fury of the Greeks. Menelaus, heartbroken and vengeful, calls upon his brother Agamemnon, the powerful king of my army. 1,000 ships set sail, carrying the wrath of the Greeks towards the shores of Troy. The Trojans, bound by honor and kinship, prepare to defend their city. They know the might of the Greeks, but they will not surrender Helen. A siege begins, a stalemate of battles and skirmishes, stretching on for 10 long years. The plains around Troy run red with blood as heroes clash. The gods watch from Mount Olympus, their conflicts mirroring those of the mortals below. Among the Greek heroes, Achilles stands out. He's the son of a goddess, swiftest of foot, strongest of arm, and nearly invincible in battle. Yet Achilles is also a man of immense pride and volatile emotions. Agamemnon, in a show of arrogance, dishonors Achilles, taking for himself Briseis, a woman Achilles claims as his prize. This slight cuts Achilles deep. Enraged and insulted, he refuses to fight. He withdraws from the battle, sulking in his tent while the Greeks struggle against the Trojans. Achilles' absence has dire consequences. The Trojans, emboldened by the hero's withdrawal, push the Greeks back towards the sea. The tide of the war begins to turn in favor of Troy. Despite the pleas of his comrades and the desperate situation of the Greeks, Achilles, consumed by rage and wounded pride, remains unmoved. He chooses personal honor over the fate of his countrymen. His wrath has devastating consequences, setting in motion a chain of events that will lead to tragedy and loss. With the Greeks reeling from Trojan attacks, a glimmer of hope emerges. Paris, urged on by his noble brother Hector, agrees to a duel against Menelaus. The prize, Helen, and an end to the war. The two armies gather, their anticipation palpable as they watch the champions prepare. The duel begins. Paris, agile but less skilled, fights bravely but is clearly outmatched. Menelaus, fueled by fury and the desire for vengeance, presses his attack relentlessly. Just as Menelaus is about to strike the final blow, Aphrodite, sworn to protect Paris, intervenes. She whisks the Trojan prince away in a cloud, saving him from certain death. The duel, meant to end the war, only fuels the flames of conflict, pushing the Greeks and Trojans further into the abyss of war. Divine intervention, the hands of gods in mortal conflict. The Trojan War is not just a conflict between men. The gods themselves are deeply entangled in the conflict, their divine wills shaping the course of the war. Aphrodite favors the Trojans, particularly Paris and Helen. Hera, queen of the gods, and Athena, goddess of wisdom and war, side with the Greeks, driven by their hatred for Troy and personal grudges against Paris. Throughout the Iliad, gods interfere in the battle, aiding their favored heroes, hindering their enemies, and even engaging in petty squabbles amongst themselves. They turn the tide of battle, influence the minds of men, and even defy the will of Zeus, their king, who attempts, often in vain, to maintain a semblance of order. Their involvement adds another layer of complexity to the war. It raises questions about free will, destiny, and the role of divine intervention in human affairs. A friend's sacrifice. Patroclus donning the armor of Achilles. As the war rages, Patroclus, Achilles' closest companion, watches the Greeks suffer. He pleads with Achilles to rejoin the fight, to no avail. Seeing the desperation of his comrades and driven by his own sense of honor, Patroclus makes a fateful decision. He asks Achilles to lend him his armor, hoping to rally the Greeks with the sight of their greatest hero return to battle. Achilles, torn between his rage and his concern for his friend, agrees. He knows the dangers, but allows Patroclus to take the field, unknowingly sending him to his death. Patroclus, clad in Achilles' armor, leads a furious assault against the Trojans, driving them back from the ships. But his triumph is short-lived. He confronts Hector, Prince of Troy, and the greatest of Trojan warriors. A fierce battle erupts, a clash of heroes, but it is a fight Patroclus is destined to lose. Rage unleashed, the return of Achilles to battle. On the battlefield, Hector, guided by Apollo and infused with divine strength, delivers a fatal blow to Patroclus. The death of Patroclus shatters Achilles. The grief and guilt are unbearable, transforming his anger into a consuming rage. He blames himself for his friend's death, for allowing pride and anger to cloud his judgment. Filled with a desire for vengeance, Achilles renounces his wrath against Agamemnon and vows to make the Trojans, and Hector in particular, pay for what they have done. Thetis, his sea nymph mother, heartbroken by her son's grief, persuades the god Hephaestus to craft Achilles' new armor, a suit of armor more magnificent than any other, fit for a god among men. When Achilles steps onto the battlefield, his presence is terrifying. He's like a force of nature, his rage echoing with every step. The Trojans, who once celebrated his absence, tremble before him, knowing that the tide of the war has turned once more, this time fueled by a grief so profound it knows no bounds. A duel for the ages, Achilles and Hector's final confrontation. The climax of the arrives in the form of a final epic duel. Achilles, consumed by rage, seeks out Hector. The two heroes, the greatest of their respective sides, clash on the plains before the gates of Troy. Their duel is not just a battle of strength, but a clash of destinies, a confrontation preordained by fate and fueled by the will of the gods. Hector, despite knowing he faces a nearly invincible foe, fights with courage and skill. He knows he fights for his city, his people, his family, but even Hector's bravery is no match for Achilles' divine fury. In the end, Achilles delivers a fatal blow, killing Hector and avenging Patroclus' death. His victory is bittersweet. He has avenged his friend, but at the cost of his own humanity. His actions in victory, the desecration of Hector's body, reveal the depths of his rage and the cost of unchecked anger. Echoes of the Iliad, a legacy of war and heroism, that does not end with a triumphant victory or a celebration of war. It leaves us with a sense of tragedy, of lives lost and forever changed by conflict. Achilles, having achieved his revenge, is left hollow. He knows his own fate is intertwined with Troy's, and that his victory is only a prelude to more suffering. Homer's epic is a story that transcends time. It reminds us of the costs of war, the futility of rage, and the enduring power of love, friendship, and compassion. There is a story that stays with you long after you finish reading it. Its characters, both human and divine, continue to resonate through the ages. It is a story about us, about the choices we make, the passions that drive us, and the enduring power of fate and the human spirit.